I'm interested in teaching in an ALC because given students the way they learn and given students and how they rely on technology, that the incorporation of technology into learning is actually very interesting to me. I use lots of video in that class, and I was able to bring in particularly videos for countries that there's just not that much material out there in terms of printed material.
So I really enjoy teaching in that classroom. It makes me feel more connected to the student. You know, when behind the podium, I don't feel that connection, but going around the room and just engaging with students and learn their problems, and I learn from them as well. So it helps to really make the learning experience more enhanced. It becomes competitive, but at the same time, it's a friendly competition where they're learning from each other.
The first couple weeks, they had that inclination to like orient behind, right? They're like, where do we look? Do we look at the teacher and be polite? Do we look at the projectors? Do we look at our screen? It encouraged them to like work as a group, even during like we'll call it a boring lecture session, they still ended up working together more, and that was pretty interesting.
I guess I have a better idea about what the common misconceptions and problems are that the students have, which is actually something you get from the active learning classroom better than like with the problem sets, right? The problem sets, they sit at home, they work on it, they can't figure something out, they hand in something, it's the wrong answer, so you mark it off, you hand it back, and then it's like already the next part of the course, right? Whereas in the active learning classroom, people can ask questions and you can have like back and forth and identify exactly what types of problems they're having and then address it, right? So they can clear it up before, they take their exam or move on to the next topic.
We use the writable surfaces a lot, and the walls are really great spaces for activities like gallery walks, activities where students need to engage and share and get out of their seats and really be able to think almost out loud through writing by using the writable surfaces. I love the writable surfaces, and it's not that these things couldn't have been done before, but they're done in such a more sustainable and organic way, right? So before we used to use easel pads, and every time we would have to get rid of the easel pads, right? Or we'd have to put them up, or we'd use easel pads and Post-it notes, or we would use tons of paper.
This is my probably, third, fourth year using the active learning rooms, and I'm probably the best person to say how wonderful they are. These rooms definitely have changed how I teach, how the students learn, and just the overall atmosphere. It just kind of enhances everything that we do. What they'll do is they'll use the tables, they'll use the walls, and then they put together a PowerPoint presentation. Then once everybody's done, they then will actually present it back to the class where they can give all the information and I can kind of fill in wherever the blanks are.
But the features that I really love about the room and use quite a lot are kind of the pod style seating, which allows students to much more easily work and collaborate in groups because they're not just sitting in kind of a traditional lecture room with you as the sage on the stage explaining everything, and instead they're really able to be empowered to engage in their kind of active learning in a different way. The skills they learn through effective team building and collaboration are actually going to serve them very well when they go into their professional lives. So I feel when I teach in the active learning classroom that I really get to know each student better than when I'm in the more passive lecture style classroom.
Before, I had to rearrange the classroom for small groups and discussions, and then put them into larger groups when we have whole group discussions. This time around, all that time is cut because all the room is basically designed that way. Students already have their known groups, and when we have whole group discussions, depending on the room, we're pretty much spread all the way around, and so that lends itself to a whole group discussion anyway.